Hello, welcome to Seniors at Play. I am your host, Zoe Leverett, and I am here with Mr. John Patten. Hello, Mr. John Patten.
Hello, pleased to meet you.
Mr. John Patten, you retired from Integra Light Science, correct?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Yes, I have.
So tell me a little bit about your experience there.
Well, my job title was actually cleaning room technician. I was over top of the cleaning room technicians. It had to be a sanitized area. We always kept the area sanitized. They manufactured, in that corporation, they manufactured collagen. Collagen is the skin under the skin, and they use it for burn patients. And we had a lot of military guys that had gotten burned from bombs going off accidentally and minefields and stuff like that. So this is how these Germans came up with this idea that they would make collagen. Yes, collagen. Thank you for your assistance. And you had to make sure everything was sanitized. You had to make sure germ-free environment.
Okay, totally.
Yes, yeah. I'm sorry about that because I'm just trying to relate to what the job actually consists of. And we had to. The shipping process was kind of difficult. The staff was very difficult to work with. Everybody had their own ideas on what should be done, how it should be done. You had a multitude of management constantly looking over your shoulder. That's because you had other people's lives at stake when you're making this stuff, because one mistake you could kill a multitude of people with it. So they just stayed on top of us and we stayed on top of them. The government would come in once a year and do a government inspection, and that mean anything and everything. In every lab that you went in, or every manufacturing room that you went in, you would have to make sure you're totally sanitized. You would have to put on a white suit, a mask, a hood on your head. You have to spray yourself down and stuff like that. Yeah, that's how.
So it was like quarantine.
That's what it was like. That's what it was. Quarantine.
That's something.
Quarantine. And we weren't allowed if you got hired through this corporation, you were not allowed to really discuss what they manufactured if you were an employee, because that you would be terminated immediately if they had a wind of what you've done.
Right.
But most of the people were pretty loyal, confident. Most of them did their job very well.
Right. So you would say this was a stressful environment to work in, or did you actually enjoy the job that you were doing?
It was very stressful, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. That's fine. You might be able to work well under pressure, right?
I enjoyed it because the things I was learning while I was working there for them. Different levels of things. The IPA, I didn't realize how important the IPA was at the time. And now I have an insight on how important it is to all of us. IPA is actually alcohol, which you would have to sanitize your stainless steel tables down with. You'd have to do the oven doors and all that stuff, and anything that man has touched, you would have to wipe it down with this IPA. And the IPA was 100% proof, which they will not put on the open market, but it does kill a lot of germs.
Wow.
A lot of microscopic germs.
Wow, my grandma would love to get a hold of that. She would love that.
Well, we used to have to make our own.
Make it yourself?
Yes, we'd have to make it in the lab.
Do you remember the recipe? Like, can I get it for my grandma?
No, sorry, couldn't give you that, no.
Can't disclose it? Well, since you mentioned not being able to disclose information regarding the job, how was it? I'm not sure if you were married at the time or in a relationship or had children.
No, I wasn't married. I did have children.
Okay,
I was divorced at that particular time.
Was it difficult to not, just because you feel as though the people at home you can confide in no matter what? Like, even though somebody said, don't tell nobody, you can tell your sister or your brother. So was it hard for you to not be able to discuss things that happened at work with your people that were closest to you?
Yes, it was very hard, especially if I had a bad day.
Right.
If I had a rough day and
you talk
seemed like
it?
Everything was coming down on my shoulders at some time. A situation where some of my staff didn't want to work with me and someone worked against me. I had a situation where my immediate supervisor over top of me had a problem where he wanted to expedite me. He didn't want me in that job. Yeah, so I went through that.
Do you know why?
Yes, because he had a relative that he wanted to have that position. Yes. But we managed to work it out. I stayed until I retired. But the guys that I was trying to give some insight as far as that job at that particular time, they were like temporary people. hire people from temp agencies. And I told this one particular Spanish guy, I said, now if you work with me, hang in there. I'm retiring at 62. I'm not going beyond 62. You can have my position. It's a good paying position. The stress is a lot, but you can handle it.
Right.
You know, you got a family, and I got to know him well enough to tell him where he could handle it. But he turned against me because he didn't like the fact that I had to get rid of his father-in-law.
Really, you had to fire his father-in-law?
I had to fire his father-in-law. Yes. And he didn't care for that too much. So.
Well, I can imagine. I wouldn't really care for you
but I was
firing.
I was in a catch-22. I didn't have any choice.
That is very true. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your job.
It was either him or me.
Right.
And he had to go.
You had to go. Got to get that money.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
I know that's right. So how many years were you working there?
I worked there for 10 years.
10 years. So what was like the age bracket?
Of the other employees?
No, for you. Like, you know, what ages were you working there?
In my early 60s.
Early 60s. So what did some of your jobs consist of before then? Were they jobs similar to that one, or that was the most extreme out of, you know?
That one was the most extreme.
Most extreme.
No, I'm sorry, I have to correct that. It wasn't the most extreme. The most extreme job that carried the most danger as far as risking your life was when I worked for Marshall Maintenance. And what we did was we went around doing kills, tanks. People? No, kills. A kill is a thing that they roast stone and roast rock
I
in.
get it. I get it. Now I was about to say.
And that was a dangerous job because I went to do a job in Ohio, and this roommate of mine, which his name was Joe Cartino, we were on this beam. I think we were about 500 feet in the air, and I was directing the cherry pick operator what to do and not how to raise that cross main, which was a 2,000-pound cross main he was trying to pull up in the air, and we had to put it in place with pin sticks. They were like little rods like this, and you had to line it out in the hole.
Oh, wow.
And then he pulled it up, and then I was giving him a signal like this. This is a signal for up. This is a signal for down. I mean, this is down and that's up. And he said, he started pulling it up, and I heard it creak. And I told Joe, if you hear any sounds, any creaking sound or anything that sounds like it's ready to break, run. Run to the nearest corner and get between that beam. Fortunately enough, he ran. I didn't get to the beam fast enough. The cross main came down and came across the head of my helmet, across the front of my toes, and took off my shoe. Took off the tip of my steel toe. Yeah, took off the steel toe on the tip of the shoe. And fortunately enough, I got to the beam in time. I guess it wasn't meant to be. I had my shoulder wedged in between the beam. That's what stopped the piece from coming down, severing my head.
My heart.
Yeah.
I'm a survivor. That's the spirit you're giving me right now, because I couldn't imagine, because I would have been passed out. It wouldn't have worked for me. But I'm glad you were able to get through that. You're still walking and you're looking good. So I'm sure it didn't, bang you up at the moment. But you're okay. You healed well.
Yes, I am.
So how many years have you been retired?
15 years now.
And how did you feel upon retiring? Was it something like, I'm ready to get out of here? Or were you like, oh, no?
No, I looked forward to retiring, but I knew I wasn't going to be happy retired.
Why?
So I started my own contracting business. I did that for 6-7 years. Then I got out of that, and then I started working with senior citizens in a state program. And that was the most relaxing job I've ever had.
You know what? And it's funny you say that, because my grandmother actually has a job like that, state-run program. She's working with the senior citizens, and she just has that attitude where she loves to run things. So it's kind of like for her to be able to, but it's just so relaxing, and she gets to participate with the different activities that the seniors do. So I totally understand that, that environment, because I live with someone who's currently working there.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to imagine that was fun. But you retired, but not really. Because you were still working.
Exactly.
So when did you really, really finish everything that you was like, okay, I'm tapped out? When did you really retire?
When I stopped working completely, I would say at the age of 70.
70. And how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
75.
75. So about 5 years you had time to relax. So what have you been doing upon your relaxation time?
I did some traveling. I was helping my daughter raise my grandson because she's a single parent. and she works for the federal government. She has a good job, good salary.
Yes, she's good. She's doing it.
She works in Internal Affairs, Department of Internal Affairs,
Okay.
and her job is to set up schedules for all the FBI agents and stuff like that. And what countries they go to, she's responsible to make sure they have proper housing, proper income coming to them and stuff like that.
Right.
That's her job. And my grandson, poor kid, I say that like that reluctantly because I thought maybe he had the ability to do what what she's had planned for him and I had planned for him. But he kind of like disappointed us because he couldn't get past the math part, and actually we wanted him to go to University of Virginia, but he couldn't get there.
Right.
And now he's like working part-time, and he's 21 and he should be working full-time. If you're not going to complete school, you might as well go to work,
Right.
And like I try to tell my daughter, everybody that, we make plans, you make plans for your children, but everybody's not cut out to go to college.
That's
Everybody cannot handle that college pressure.
That's very
And
true.
I think this is where my grandson is at. He just hasn't adjusted yet, and he's rotten because she spoiled him. And I helped a little bit. We're both guilty of that.
I'm sure you played a major part too. But I totally understand. I'm in his shoes. I'll be 22 soon, actually in November. And I'm currently a college student. I work full time, but I go to college part time, and it is pretty stressful. But I'm to the point where it's like work cannot come first anymore, because when you're home working, that's the first thing that's on your mind. And then sometimes school. I can't speak, for your grandson, but just for me, I've done enough of like just working. It's like where I want to actually get somewhere with my education. So now I've been more buckled down in regards to figuring out where I really want to go in life. Hopefully your grandson finds his way just like I'm finding mine.
Well, he really don't have much of a choice because his mother's very dominant. That's another situation there. But his girlfriend is a pre-med student. She wants to be a doctor.
Wow.
So therefore,
he got to step up.
She's got straight A's, so he can't touch that.
Right.
So I keep trying to influence him and tell him, let him know that in the situation that you're in, you may lose her. If not only that, she's your first girlfriend, you're her first boyfriend. You're going in separate directions.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think she would end up getting her degree and wanting to marry a person that couldn't come up to par.
Right.
Because you wouldn't be able to keep up her lifestyle.
Right.
So you gotta stand up and be accounted for. You gotta get serious about this. You gotta do what you gotta do for your future. So I think his next move is, I think he's taking partial courses at what school he was supposed to, I forgot.
Is it Mercer
Georgia
County?
Tech, I think he was trying to get in.
Georgia Tech.
I'm not sure if he made it, but I will find that out.
You will find that out.
Most definitely.
Okay, well, you let us know what you find out.
Yes, I will.
You said that you like to travel. Where are some places you like to travel to?
I went to Peru with my daughter and my grandson. We went to Jamaica. Went to Canada. My daughter likes traveling. Matter of fact, she loves traveling. And she just planned a trip to go back to Peru again this year. And I'm like, you sure you want to do that with the way the country is and things are going? She said, but Dad, I just want to go. I said, okay, go. And she feels that every year she needs to have a vacation.
I love that, because you know what? I told myself the same thing.
But
The same like that every year. Yeah, started with my 21st birthday. And, I'm young, and, the job that I'm working, I don't have a degree, so I don't have a fancy job. So I'm, doing enough just to pay my car payments, pay for school, and my cell phone bill. I can't do too much. But I told myself that I would at least start in the States just so I can get out and do things. So my 21st birthday, me and my cousin, who's 4 days older than me, we went to Miami. This year in January, we're going to be going to Atlanta. Next year, I'm thinking Vegas, start to at least start in the States of, some nice places to go, and then travel outside of the country and get that every year, use my birthday as a reason to get out and see something and do something different and eat food from other places, because I love food.
I'm glad you brought up Atlanta, because we did take a trip to Atlanta too. And I went to the area that Martin Luther King lived in. I actually went to his home. From his home, I went to Ebenezer Baptist Church. And it felt kind of strange, because I felt him in the pulpit.
Really?
And it felt weird. It was really weird to me, because we had already went to the museum, his museum, and from there we went to his home, and then fire company is down the street from where he lived. And when we got to Ebenezer Baptist Church, we went in to the main door. The guy guided us through the area, and he showed us where he used to preach, where he sat, and so forth and so on. And it's like, I actually felt like I felt him, because what they did was they put on some music, and then they put on him talking in the background, and you're sitting down in the pews. It's like, wow, this is weird. That's just how I felt. Yeah. But I enjoyed the experience of it.
Right.
And we went to Underground. Have you ever been to Underground in Atlanta?
No, I haven't even gone there. This could be my first time.
If you ever get the opportunity,
I will,
you're going to love it. You're going to love it.
The Underground, you said?
Yes, it's called Underground.
I put it in my mental note.
It's like a whole city underground.
Really?
Yeah, it's like you got stores, you got restaurants, you got merchants.
Really?
Yes, really.
We're going to talk after. You're going to write that down. I can't forget, because that sounds like it'd be so much fun.
Yeah, it is. It was very nice. I really enjoyed it. And that was my first time ever being in Atlanta.
Really?
Yes.
Awesome. I can't wait now. You've just given me at least 2 things to do. So now it's like, okay, I'm pumped. January, where you at? I'm ready. So are your friends retired too?
Most of my friends, ones I was really close with, a lot of them are no longer here anymore. I'm in a situation where the people that I know, other than the people I live around, I live in a senior citizen building.
Okay.
And seniors can be a pain in the neck sometimes, because they have nothing to do with their time but gossip. And talk about each other and talk about other people.
That is true, because my grandma comes home and try to do it to me, and I'm like, I'm not your friend, girl.
Well, I do that. I listen to them. I'll speak to them. I'll say, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and I keep it moving. I can't handle it, because I don't understand them. I can't grasp the understanding of how they can sit in that building and go to the front door and sit there every day, or go down to the community room and do nothing but gossip. I mean, serious gossiping about each other. Yeah. I don't get it.
It's just like high school all over again. Yeah, it's like, is this what it comes down to? You thought you outgrown it, but history repeats itself.
Yes, it does.
So maybe that's what it is.
I didn't expect it to happen in my later years.
Not you, at least.
No.
Like maybe somebody else.
I like to travel a little bit, but no matter how much traveling you do, there's no place like home.
Oh, totally. I totally agree.
Your heart is where your home is, and home is in your heart.
Right.
So there's no place like home, no matter where it is. One thing I dislike about traveling is unpacking. Packing to go and unpacking when you get back.
Totally.
That can be a pain in the neck.
Especially with the sizing, because they just want to charge you like $1,000 to take us out. I just want to take my clothes. That's it. I can't even take my clothes because they want to charge you an arm and a leg and a foot.
Yes, they do.
I can't afford it. And then it's, sometimes it get really heavy. Like last vacation, I broke the wheels just coming down because the suitcase was so heavy. I didn't want to carry it, so I just rolled it on down the steps and little wheels broke, but it was okay. I made it there.
And some of my interests would be, I like buying and collecting older cars, because to me a car can be like a diamond in the rough, because everybody cannot afford a car. So with the prices of new cars today, I figure, well, okay, what I'm going to do, and this is part of my hobby, what I do today is I go out and I buy used cars. I fix them up. I make sure they're roadworthy. I make sure they have all the bells and whistles are taken care of. And then I sell them sometime to different people, but I make sure it's in a range that they can afford. Because there's a lot of people out there who need transportation and can't get transportation, because you're paying for the mechanic, you're paying for the service station, you're paying for your gas, you're paying the government, you're paying your state.
Yes.
So when you get through, you're paying all these people, you have nothing left in your paycheck.
Right.
So I figure, well, okay, maybe this might help make it easier on people that don't have enough to have transportation. So that's one of my hobbies. I like collecting old books.
What kind of books?
Pardon me?
What kind of books do you like to collect?
Books that's dealing with Chinaware, history in reference to women, history in reference to America. I just like to collect books. I collect books and I read them, and I try to make some sense out of why is this world so screwed up the way it is.
Right. So you like more of like documentaries, realistic, like what's going on in the world actually.
Right. Exactly. I'm more concerned with that, yes.
With that, right.
And I think people need to learn how to be more compassionate to one another. Learn how to speak to one another. Give everybody their own respect.
That's true.
You know, we have lost, in this country, we have lost that respect for one another. And that's a shame. That's why this country is so dismayed the way it is. I mean, why would you now when I was going to school, we had Bible classes in school. Today, they removed it. So therefore, they wonder what's wrong with the youth of today. They have no guidance. They have no foundation. And the reason why they don't have foundation is because a lot of them don't believe in the Lord.
That's very true.
And if mankind, or our so-called leaders, we should stop dabbing and deal with the politics of the day instead of dealing with our personal lives, we would all be better off. It's too much of them dipping into the personal segment instead of handling the business segment of America.
Right.
That's the problem that we're having.
Do you think that we'll ever be able to handle the business segment? Do you think it'll always be all about
all
me,
I can
me,
do is
me?
hope. In that situation, all I can do is hope and pray.
And pray about it, right?
Because I hope the next generation can do better than my generation, and the generation before them do better than that generation. And the more knowledge you obtain, the more you're going to gain in the future of how to build and how to maintain what you are in your infrastructure. Now, it took them 10 years before they started remodeling the infrastructure. And that was because of the Iraq War, Vietnam War. There was billions of dollars going into that war, which was senseless. A lot of lives got lost unnecessarily when it could have been. If these guys could have, and the UN sat down and negotiated like they should have, instead of saying, we paid you billions, you didn't pay us yet, so we're going to take out your country. That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, me, myself, right now, in this day and age, I would not go outside of America. American people are not liked around the globe. That's around the globe. That's not around the corner. That's around the globe.
So how do you feel our current president has played a part? Like, do you think it's always been like this, or it's just escalated now?
No, it's escalated now.
It's escalated now because of the presidency.
Because the president we have was so used to having a fortunate life, very fortunate life, that he feels, I personally think that he feels that I'm commander-in-chief, I can do what I want. And the way he talked at the UN just this weekend was ridiculous. And I understand why some of the people got up and walked out, because if they didn't walk out, they would have probably cracked him in his head or something.
Right.
But it was stupid the way he came across. I mean, he should have used tact. He didn't use any tact when he was speaking upon what he wanted to happen. And if he'd have tried to reach him on a humane note instead of a dominatory note, he might have gotten something accomplished.
Right.
But he was too dominatory as far as I'm concerned of what America's going to do. You're going to see a war that you've never seen in your life before.
Right.
Or destruction that you've never known.
Right.
Come on, get real here. You're talking about a nation of people, and we'll give you the right as one person to make that kind of statement for all of us.
Exactly.
We all don't feel that way.
Right.
You know?
I totally understand where you're coming from. And I mean, all we can really do is pray about it and hope that God brings in a new leader, because that's just not working.
No, it's not.
Right.
No, it's not.
But John, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure talking to you, getting to know you. Remember, we got to talk about the places to go. So on my vacation, I can remember John sent me here.
Okay.
All right?
Yes, we will.
Okay. And thank you for joining us tonight at Seniors at Play. Again, I am your host, Zoe Leverett. Have a good night. See you next week.